considering how dark the darkness is and where it leads to, and where, you know, the horrors and fear and terror and the most disturbing things that any human being can imagine, that they are real and they belong to Satan. It's like Satan's realm is the horror of horrors, and that and that
you just don't want to go there.
You want to be guided away
there.
From that as much as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I think this is the most worrying thing about what's going on in the media, is that because God is portrayed as this controller and oppressor, then people push his guidance and his correction away, and instead of trusting God, they trust the media. They trust the media messages. They're trusting this whole renaissance of Satan worship, you know, which the Satanic temple is now mainstream. This whole renaissance of like Satanism is cool, and Satanism is about expressing yourself and getting rid of that oppressive God who tells you to be good and do the right thing. Forget about that. Come and have some fun with Satan. And so people kind of, what's the word? They turn their back on the guidance of God and the correction of God and how he wants to steer them. And they say, no, don't steer me. I'm going to rebel against you. So this is the whole rebelliousness, the idea of rebellion. I'm going to rebel against God because he just wants to control me, and I'm going to do everything that God says I shouldn't. Oh, and look, all these cool pop singers are telling me, showing me how cool Satanism is, and all these cool TV programs are telling me how empowered I'll be and how much control I can have over the oppressive men if I embrace witchcraft and embrace Satanism, and I'll be the empowered one and I'll have the control, and all those oppressive men will, you know, they'll kind of be eating my dust kind of thing like this. And go on, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, there's also the message that I hear a lot, you know, and that I used to hear before I came to Jesus, and is this idea of, well, you know, I follow myself, you know, I am my own guide, you know, and that there's something righteous in that, you know, that you don't want to be following the guide of something outside of yourself. Whereas it's like I found that actually following myself, you know, it got me quite lost, you know, and that actually I really do want the guidance of the Father. And, you know, I need the guidance of the Father, and it's actually, it's not a bad thing, you know, to seek that, you know. It's like, and that's again this issue of obedience and humility. You could say, you could even replace the word obedience with humility. It's about sort of being humble enough to recognize his voice and to want to hear his voice and to seek his voice. And, you know, I'm not speaking about an audible voice, you know. It's, you know, the way he guides is in lots of different ways, you know. But just to be aware of his guidance, you know, that you can't do it on your own, you know.
So what would you say? So people I know that there's a lot of strong messages in the media and film portraying God as this oppressive father figure who's very controlling and wants to exact his wrath on people. And so I'd like to ask you this question. How would you, through your closeness to God, and coming closer and closer to God, how would you describe God to the people who really would like to know what God is really like? Not what the media say God is like, but what is God really like in your words, Tara?
In my experience, he's a pure guide. He's his purity is evident. It's that he's always there, faithful. These are his characteristics, and this is my experience of him. So when I seek him through prayer, he's always there. I recognize his presence. I recognize that he's listening to me.
He cares about you.
He cares about me. He loves me. I remember having a real heart-opening experience one time where I really felt that it was a very personal love, that yes, he loves everybody, and yes, he loves me. And it broke my heart wide open when I felt that love descending on me, that actually he loves me personally. He loves every hair on my head, and he wants to bring me into the kingdom. He wants to bring me into fellowship with him. And it just becomes this it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful because I want that too. So I seek his will because I want that. Because it's...
You want to be in love.
I want his guidance. I also don't mind. I mean, in the Bible, it speaks about, in Psalm 23, and he says, thy rod and thy staff comfort me. And sometimes people question that. Well, the rod is sometimes described as, like a punishment, a weapon, yeah. And so how can that be a comfort? But actually, my understanding of that is that it's very comforting to know that you'll be corrected if you go off the path.
Right.
If
you stray into the darkness.
Yeah, if you stray, he's not going to go, okay, love, off you go.
Into the dark.
Yeah, off into the dark.
Enjoy your holiday in hell.
Yeah, he's not going to. He can't do that
Right.
because he's a holy God.
Yep.
He's pure. He's righteous.
And he wants you with him.
And he wants me with him, and I want to be with him.
Yep.
So I think that's sometimes where the misunderstanding is about the fear of God and the wrath of God, and it's this sort of not wanting to be corrected, but actually it's a beautiful thing. It's a comforting thing to be corrected by God.
Keeps you going in the right direction.
It keeps you going in the right direction, and we really need that.
Yes.
I need that. I seek that. I never presume that I know the way, and I'm go off on my own. And I want to be always with him. I want to be continuously in fellowship with him.
Yeah. And listen to what he tells you.
And listen to what he tells me,
Yeah.
and become really familiar with his word. That it's ingrained in me. I'm not very good at quoting scripture, but I know it. I read my Bible, I listen to my audio Bible, I make sure that I'm comprehending what it says. And actually, what I hear is a love story. I hear a fierce, steadfast love, and that's always what I hear. And thank God for his correction.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
That it's and I think it's up to the individual how harsh the correction is. I'm not speaking about humans. I'm speaking about God. I'm speaking about I want him to keep me on the right path.